Hey guys, me again, Orc What Ifs, where we last left off. Let's see, checking. Bellingham went down into the dungeon. Sorry, they went down into the dungeon, with when they, before they fight Goliath and such. Bellingham went down there, still got past paraded, but it was much easier. But they, Welf, Lily, and Bell kinda still were very tired afterwards, because Bell had kind of strained his throat a bit from using the shouting back to back to back so rapidly. And he wasn't using full strength because like I said, they're inside of a thing. It would probably be a really bad idea to use the full force of his shouts underground. Anyways. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Bell and them have been rescued by the Familia. That being said, Bell wakes up as he's ugh. As he gets up from his injuries, he's pretty much recovered from his fatigue. As he gets up, he goes to meet the Captain Finn and such as Eyes. There we go. Sorry, I forgot his name for a second. Her name, not his. Eyes. Oh, sorry. Eyes. As he's like, what happened? As he grabs his head. Where's Welf and Lily? He's like, they'll be fine, Bell, but Captain Finn wants to talk to you. He's like, alright. As he gets back up, he's like, Captain Finn. He's like, yes, Bell. Remember what you told us before? No, not what we told you before, but he asked, so, Bell, what are you and your group doing down here? He's like, we wanted to get down lower, but we could have made it out if we retreated, but we got past paraded. It's like, as Reveria and Eyes and the ones there, what? It's like, yep, he's like, they past parade us. But it seems like their injuries were quite severe. So, is that it? He's like, thank you for helping us, Captain Finn. We seem to, we need the help greatly, and I appreciate it. And yeah, put me in your debt. As long as it's something that I haven't objected to before in the past, I will assist you if I can. Very well then, Bell. It's like, yep. Anyways, I gotta go check on Welf and Lily. As he goes walk over to check on them, it's like, so, you guys seem, as he was exiting, I guess I'm tired. As he was exiting, he is still approached by Tion and Tiana. As they aren't before where he fought the Minotaur by himself, they are still kind of not looking down on him, but they do recognize he was actually kind of strong to survive against the three cultists for quite a period of time, from what they could tell. He may have not beaten them, but he was able to hold them off. And Tion and Tiana and the rest of them were actually still having trouble when it came to the cultists themselves. So, yeah, they recognize his strength to the case. As he, walks past them to go check on Wolf and Lily, it comes to a night thing. Where they really aren't, Bell isn't really, talk too much about, the whole, so, Mr. Argonaut. But Reveria and Leafa, I believe her name is, Leafa do, try to talk with Bell a bit about magic and such. He's like, as he's just eating. As they question, sort of talk with them about the magical schools and such. And he just keeps on going, I agree. yes, I understand, sort of motion, as he's like, I understand magic to like talk about it, but not enough on these level. Like he's on the level of maybe a bit higher of understanding magic. Oh, understanding magic, like on the level of Lifa, who's like a apprentice to Reveria, if I remember saying. As they all say, well, as Captain Finn says, as like Reveria and Lifa kept bothering him about like Belle, like talking with Belle about getting them to show how the magic works. And they ask him, Belle, would you mind actually using your full force? He's like, sorry, but no. Like I said, I will not use it in this caved area. Oh, even though it's more open, it may cause some of the ceiling come crashing down around us. As is like, really? As Bet says, I don't believe it. There's no way a weak level 1 like level 2 like you could actually have enough strength to pull down this entire thing. Not even Eyes has that amount of strength. Or not even the dwarf. I don't think they actually say his name. The dwarf could even do that. Belle says, well, you'll have to go on my words. So forgive me for that. As eventually they do the overlook of the town, like look over it, as then they go over to meet Hestia and such. With the whole thing of her rolling down the hill. As Belle and them like talk with them and such, eventually Hermes show up. And then they head off to the town after speaking with the whole Hermes situation. As they like go check out the town, Belle and them are like Lily and Welf are looking over the thing. And Belle isn't really looking for anything. He's just like, you know, neat. As Hestia still does like the perfume thing, wanting the opinion of Belle. But she doesn't really fall for him like as she does in the actual anime. Because if you remember, she knows that he's a chosen of Akatosh, or a dragonborn, otherwise known as chosen of Akatosh. She remembers like the deal that she worked out with Akatosh and them, as she understands and acknowledges that she's pretty much here as just like the one to help him level up. Then after that, like he may get rid of his like whole adventures thing and return to Tamriel if he so chooses. As Belle and them speak, she actually tries to get one-on-one time with him to talk about Akatosh and such. But it really isn't successful, as he says, we must not speak of that here. No one else knows about it, and I wouldn't want them to take a chance of hearing it, alright? Lady Hestia? As then he gives the bow, as then he's like hauled over by a Welf and Lily. As he still runs into the whole... that whole party of adventurers. As they do, like he does try to go grab Belle, but Belle is able to grab his hand. Belle says, watch it, please. This is not the place to fight, nor should we fight. We're adventurers in the dungeon. As he like pushes the hand close to the guy's chest and sort of lets go, as he walks off to sort of go back to like the group that he was with. As it typically goes in this anime, Belle, as the other ones go off to the baths, Belle's led astray by Hermes, I believe. Yeah, it's Hermes. As he's talking with Hermes and such, Hermes, I forget what Belle and Hermes talk about exactly, but it's just, I'm pretty sure it's like more like about the whole romance thing. As with Belle talking with him, he's like, since the whole thing, as Belle's like, Mr. Hermes, God, Mr., what do I call you? Just Hermes is fine. We shouldn't really stand here. As he like puts a hand on Hermes' shoulder, he like Hermes is about to like do the whole turn away as Belle literally goes ethereal, and Hermes actually ends up falling over like, wait, Belle, ah! As he like went to go grab onto Belle, Belle just says bye. As Hermes goes crashing into the water, as Belle's like, that probably wasn't a good idea, but oh well. As he starts walking down and starts walking around the forest, then he comes across Ryu as he does the whole, I am sorry, I did not mean to. As instead of like getting on his hands and knees, like she threw the knife and the knife just sort of bounced off his armor. As then he like covered his eyes, he's like, I'm sorry, I did not mean for this to happen. As then they go about the whole like burial thing. He has a pretty similar reaction to what I would say. As then they set off back to the camp. As then eventually, as he has kidnapped, they get the note, and Belle says, As he starts walking over, as he tells like Lily and Welf and them what happened, he's walking up there as he says, as he casts his magic, like magic resistance, magic resistance, which encompasses it all. Like, from even healing magic won't work on him. Like, that's the downside. It's like all magic is cut out. Healing magic won't work on him, but fire, black, like ice, dark, all that magic won't work. As he was walking up, he cast it. As the group of them are like sort of doing that like little jolt forward thing to like try and intimidate Belle, as he just walks past them all. As Belle takes like a stance against the guy pretty much does the whole, if you beat me, I'll tell you where Hestia is. As he puts on I believe it's called the crown of Hades, that's what the item is. As Belle stands there, as he like goes invisible, Belle's like, As he's waiting with his sword up, he's like, as then he gets punched right in the face, he's like, oh. As he's like, as he still gets like punched around, as he's like, how is this guy doing this? As he's trying to get a feel for him, as he sort of jumps back, as he's like, ice, as he uses it, as the guy's foot is frozen solid, as he's like, ugh. As Belle rushes forward and punches him in the, like, sort of hits him in the gut with his, like, pommel, as he's like, oh. Belle then grabs him by the head, or what he thinks is the head, and sort of is, like, able to get him down on the ground, as he uses Mark of Death, like, to weaken him, as he's like, what the... As he falls onto his back, Belle grabs, like, at the forehead, feeling, like, where the crown was, and then he rips, like, sort of grabs onto, like, two sides, as then he pulls it apart, throwing it away. As, I don't know if that was, like, a godly item. I just think it's, like, something referred to as the crown of Hades, but I'm not entirely sure. So, if it's, like, the whole breaking it in half thing, like, is unrealistic, sorry for that. If not, he knocks it off, takes it off his head, one of the two. As Belle is victorious, the other people did come around to like help Belle, as they say, Belle, you could have just, used your shouts. He's like, I did not wish to hurt them if it was unnecessary. It's like, even then, I just froze the guy's foot. As in the whole bomb, bomb, bomb with, like, Goliath. As then everyone has that whole panic thing, as Belle says, how are we gonna... As then they see the whole thing, like, Goliath shoot the whole sound thing. As they're like, hey, Belle, that's kind of like you. As he's like, yes, it seems so. As they walk down, like, downwards to go deal with it, as he's like, alright. As everyone is like organized and such, Bell is helping people on the ground as he's like, I wish, too bad. As he's like hopping around back and forth, as he shouts for everyone, like, everyone, get moving! Backwards! Backwards is the way to go, folks! As he like starts cutting down monsters until eventually like he does the whole get back thing. As when Goliath is about to shoot his thing, Bell uses, he's like, everyone clap your ears, as he uses the full force of unrelenting shout. When it collides with Goliath, it makes an entire shockwave that people like not even close to them actually feel the whole burst of wind. As Bell's like, oh, as he lets it off again, as in it like smashes Goliath right into the face, knocking him off balance as he falls over. As Bell says, uses fire breath, scorching like Goliath along the body, as he's just using like unrestrained shouts against him now, as he uses ice form as it completely encases Goliath's leg. He uses frost breath, mark of death. He even tries using soul tear at one point. That just causes one of Goliath's arm or like hand where it hit to just completely poof. Then it starts regenerating slowly but surely. Bell says, dang it, as he keeps on using the power for what he can until eventually Goliath is able to get like a fast one on him where Bell thought he was going down, as Goliath used the whole like a powered up version of his. As he lets it loose, Bell goes flying. Again, like seriously, the amount of times my characters go flying, it's quite surprising. Should give him wings by now. As Bell's in like that whole state, as he's like, it seems this ain't good. As he's like, sorry, Akatosh, but I think that's the end of my ride. My lord, forgive me. As when everyone like Hestia, Lily, and them are around him, he's like incoherent. Sorry, forgive me. As they each speak to him, he's like, Bell, your strength has yet been drained. You may continue forward for even the tiniest bit more. You will succeed. As he's like, I don't know if I can. He's like, you can, Bell. Trust me. Focus carefully, and you shall succeed. As it's like, I'll do my best, my lord. As he gets up, he's like, got it. Stay strong. For Akatosh. As he's thinking this inside his head, he's like, as they say, we'll give you a bit of a strength for now, Bell. Channel it. Use dragon aspect and we shall boost it with that. As he's like, alright. As he grasps his like two-handed sword, as he uses the shout, as he's like, oh, Hashi? I forget the exact words. As he, how did it go again? I think I got it. I think it's Noel Qua Div. So it's like I don't think I've said, I don't think anyone has used it before, like seen him use it. As he says, Noel Qua Div. As he uses it, like the dragon aspect comes all around him. He's got the horns, the armor along his arms and such. As when he uses it, like Lily, even Hestia and such, I haven't seen him use it. As he like is handed the sword from the Loki Familia, as he grabs it, he's like, as he uses Elemental Fury, which allows him to swing much faster as he uses it. Like I said, I only know very few actual words, so sorry. As he grabs it, as he's walking forward to the battlefield, as everyone sees him walk out of it, he uses another shout called Whirlwind Sprint. As he uses multiple shouts at once, as since with Dragon Aspect on, the like amount of strength is pretty much non-existent, as he just unleashes the entire might of his words, as he's also being kind of powered, like slightly powered up by the 8 divines. As for the final thing, he pretty much jumps in the air, sort of uses the like unrelenting force like 3 more times to completely knock him over, like to like get him on his like sort of butt, you could say. Then he rushes forward, shouts words that haven't even like been made for, as it says, increase strength. With like these are like the words that he needed fueled. As he swipes with the sword, it completely shatters, but also completely like destroys Goliath as it would in the anime. As then his sword breaks, he's like, dang it. As he looks forward, the Goliath is like trying to regenerate. He looks around and has nothing except his broken greatsword on his back. He's like, oh well. As he jumps forward, his greatsword on his back, he jumps forward and like sort of stabs it right into where Goliath would be. As with that whole poof, he comes clambering out of the crater, standing tall with the dragon aspect, as everyone starts cheering like, yeah, like a whole bunch of applause all around. As he like lets out a shout of victory, the 8 divines are like, good job, Bell. And Hermes is like, yes, this is great. It seems like he's so much more unique than anyone else here. Even more than the Sword Princess. He must truly be a legend waiting to be born. As then it cuts out to black as it would. And to let you guys know, it's probably going to be an episode, like maybe a couple more episodes before I finish the series off. The next series, I think, like, I know I said I'd probably do What If Deku had the, like, powers of Italian, but I went back and, like, rooted through the whole box again, because I haven't been able to think of a story so far for Italian What If. So, what I'll be doing instead is, as I went rooting around, it will be What If Deku was a gunslinger, and or What If Deku was Snipe's son, which is pretty much one and the same. Anyways, I hope you all have enjoyed it. I hope you all continue to enjoy it, and I hope you all have a nice day, nice night, nice life.